All right, we are officially recording, and it is Tierra around Tidewater, you guys, the wealth building series, first episode of the 2021 year. And you know, I had to kick it off with a bang because the wealth building series is about your goals, knowing and you knowing how to reach them. So, in this case, of course, I'm a real estate agent. I've got to provide value. And one of those ways that I do my best in providing value is building relationships. So I am super, super, super honored. You guys see her on the screen already. You are super honored to invite and have here on TAT tonight. I do my own music. It is Diane Stein.
Hi.
Hey. Thank you so much for joining me, Diane. You are Hampton Roads best lender. Yes, you heard it from me. Okay.
Thank you. Love
Yeah.
you.
Yes, love you too. Hampton Roads best lender. And it's a few reasons why I say that. The biggest, though, is beyond you having superior knowledge, beyond you not ever being not willing to learn and learn more to help people and to help your clients and to serve your community. More important even than that is your empathy, your kindness, your care, your love for your clients and the people you work with. That is one of the reasons why I call you the best. There is none better to like deal with all types of clients, personalities, with calmness, with rational, with rational,
It takes that a lot.
yes, calm and rational conversation, and you always get people to the end point. So that's what we're talking about today is getting people to the end point. And I wanted to bring you on to the show, and I'm so happy again that you're here, is because we have been working on this whole rollout of a grant opportunity that's only available at your bank. So without further ado, rather than me sit here and try to tell people your job, please let's talk about this grant. Now, before you start talking though, you guys, I have a whole little flyer. So if at any time during this broadcast, any of this information strikes you, you need more information, you can reach me directly by messaging on the Flawless Real Estate team. And also what I'm going to do is in the description box below the live, I'm going to put Diane's direct contact so that you can reach her and start the pre-approval process. Because one thing about this show is that, yes, I'm a real estate agent, but again, it's to provide value. So you may have an agent you're working with that is your preferred agent. And that's fine. If you didn't choose me, cool, it's fine. I'm not going to take it personal. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, the point is that Diane and Southern Trust have something that is a great opportunity. Go ahead, Diane.
Well, it's called an FHLB grant, and it's through multiple states as well. It's not just the state of Virginia, but it is a $10,000 grant for essential workers, educators, first responders, police officers, veterans, active duty. It's the whole gamut of community heroes plus essential workers.
Mm-hmm.
That is a $10,000 grant. Also with that is a first-time homebuyer grant that is $7,500. So you do not have to be a first-time homebuyer to get the $10,000 grant.
But say it again. Hold up. Pause. Gotta play the music. Here it is, you guys. If you didn't hear this, this is the point of this broadcast tonight, this wealth series. It's for your family and you to be able to begin building wealth by owning a home or owning your second home, right? And begin having rentals or investing or whatever the case. Go ahead, Diane. Tell them one more time about this grant, girl. Yes.
Yeah. So it is different in the sense where it's a $10,000 grant and you have to only bring $1,000 to the table versus a VHDA grant, which is a percentage, and then you have to bring the percentage. So every time I work the numbers, this grant always is better money. And this grant can be used for down payment assistance as well as closing costs, to where versus the Virginia Housing Grant, you either do the down payment grant or you do the closing cost grant. And in this market right now, when it's a seller's market, a lot of sellers are not offering closing cost assistance, or they're offering a minor amount and you've got to come to the table with those closing costs. So this grant, if you need part of the money for down payment and then you need part of the money for closing cost assistance, we can spread it out along that way. You can also use it to buy down your rate. So if rates are 3.5%, because they creeped up a little bit the other day, you can use any leftover money to buy down that rate to help your monthly payment. You can also use any leftover money to reduce the purchase price. If you have any leftover money, we can use it for that as well.
Right.
Take the money with you. So there's multiple uses for it. And the biggest thing with this grant is it is essential workers. And in the state of Virginia, essential workers is an extremely broad term. It is what it is listed on the executive orders from the governor. And it includes people like if you work at the ABC store, if you work at Lowe's, Walmart, the grocery store, any of those things.
Right.
So when we're talking about education, sorry, I've got things popping up all over my screen. About in the education field, you do not have to be a teacher. You can work at the front office at the school. You can
cafeteria, be the lady
exactly
workers, right?
Yes, you can work in the cafeteria. You can be a janitor at a school. You can work in the office. Any of those things. If you're working in an education field, regardless of whether you're an educator or not, you can be an assistant teacher. Any of those items. Then also as far as essential workers in a hospital, you don't have to be you don't have to be a technician. You don't have to be a nurse. You can work in the administration office,
Janitorial.
Yes, exactly. Anything in a hospital setting that is essential worker deemed by the governor, and it's very broad. You work at the garden center down the street, that is considered essential workers. If you work in a bank, those are considered essential workers. Any of those things like that. It's a very broad term in the state of Virginia. So in different states too. So people are looking at different states, Maryland, North Carolina. I think it's 9 or 10 states that it's in. So Georgia, South Carolina, maybe up to Delaware. So it's a really good program.
Right.
And you do not have to be a first-time home buyer. Most of the other grants are first-time home buyers.
Right. And that is one of the reasons why I wanted to broadcast this information. And I'm so happy that we had an opportunity to gather tonight and share this information. And we're going to be sharing this on multiple platforms. So on all of those platforms where this video will be presented, Diane's contact information will be included in the description so that you can reach Diane directly, because again, just to go over it, there are so many grant programs that are available. That is true. However, about 98 to 95% of those grant programs normally only apply to a first-time home buyer. I have people all the time, and even on the social networks, are always discussing the barriers to entry to become an investor. This is lowering that barrier to entry. As long as you're fiscally responsible. If you have gotten yourself to a point where you have a little equity in your current home, and now you're ready to become a landlord and you'd like to go ahead and get a one or multi-unit home, this is the opportunity to do that. And with the savings you have, you can apply this grant towards the closing costs. And that is a big deal. That's a game changer. And then for first-time home buyers, now, what my question is that with the first-time home buyer grant, it's a comparison though, right? So when you're doing the first-time home buyer, if a person has done the VA housing program, which we still 100% recommend. So
yes.
Even
you can pair this grant with a VHDA first lien mortgage, and then you get the grant on top of that.
Okay.
VHDA grant program is you bring 1% to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's just use an FHA Virginia housing grant as an example, just for easy math.
Okay.
$200,000 home.
Okay, $200,000 home, everybody. I'm
Yes.
writing it down.
So an FHA requires you to put 3.5% down. The Virginia Housing Grant is 2.5%.
Mhm.
So $200,000 times 2.5%, that's what? That's $5,000, correct?
Right.
$5,000. And then the buyer has to bring 1%. So the buyer has to bring $2,000.
Mhm.
$1,000 from the buyer,
Right.
you get $5,000
Right.
grant.
Right.
Let's flip that to the other program.
Okay.
If you're a first-time home buyer and you're buying the same $200,000 house, you're now only bringing $1,000 to the table.
Right, because that's all you require.
That amount, but you're also getting $7,500 versus $5,000.
Right.
So if you don't have enough money for closing costs, or you've negotiated 2% or 1.5% closing costs, now you have that extra $2,500 to go towards those closing costs.
Yes.
Use it for down payment and closing cost assistance.
That is amazing. That's amazing.
Yes. So in most math cases, this grant wins out.
Yes. Okay.
You're having to bring less to the table and you have more funds to work with.
Right. And the only reason
I do want to talk about something you said earlier, that if you're not a first-time home buyer and then you want to go and you want to move up into an investment type of a scenario, this is a primary residence only grant.
right.
You can buy 1 to 4 unit so let's say you buy a 2-unit condo or 2-unit town, whatever you're buying, it's 2 units. You need to live in one and then you can rent out the other, but you have to live in one. So it is yes, but you can buy up to a 4-unit. So you can live in one and rent out 3.
Right. And that's what and you're right. I was not clear about that because yes,
I just want to make sure that I know what you were saying. I just want to make sure that.
Right. Oh, no, that makes right.
Yeah.
So everybody, please keep that in mind is that it is a primary residence grant. So when I was saying the suggestion of you're in your current home, you have a little equity or you've been in there for a period of time, what I meant was move up. So either you're going to move up, let's say, for instance, you're in a 3-bed, 2-bath, and this is the home you own currently, and this was your starter home. Let's say you were able to find that 4-unit, and you might only have a 2-bedroom in the 4-unit, but you're able to live in it for the next few years while you rent out the other property. Now you automatically, upon purchasing that 4-unit with this grant, now you have actually four rents coming in because your primary home is your first primary home. Let me be clear. Your first primary home is now rented. You've got 3 other active rentals, and then you're in your own rental for the next year, 2 or 3 years until you can buy your dream home, because you're building yourself up by building your investments and using each of your investments as a primary residence first. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a great way to begin to build equity, stability, and wealth, which is what this is, the wealth building series. So now, we've gotten clear on that. Is there any other things about this particular grant that we need to touch on, that people would need to know?
It can be used for manufactured housing, which
Okay.
a lot of them can't.
Okay.
It's townhouses, condos, single family homes, but you have to occupy it as your principal residence, and it could be multifamily.
Okay.
The biggest thing, and so it just depends on which way you're going. If you're going first-time home buyer or you're doing the community partners product, which is the $10,000 one, and you need to be the community heroes. You can also be retired military, active duty military, and you can pair it with a VA loan. And if you don't have any more VA eligibility, you can keep your other one, and then you can pair this with a different loan and use the entire $10,000.
Wow.
I'm doing one right now where they're not going to be able to use all of the $10,000, but it's much better than the closing cost assistance grant that Virginia Housing offers for VA.
Right.
It's just the math works out better. They're getting about, $4,500 more, even if I pay it all.
Right.
Because it's only going to go towards closing costs and buying down their rate.
Right. And so do you know, so now your bank is on the only lender here locally that offers this loan?
Yes, Southern Trust Mortgage. We are tied to Sona Bank, and therefore you have to be and that is something else that needs to be brought up. There's only a certain amount of money left. There's only a certain amount of money they give, and each banking unit gets a certain amount of money. And once that money runs out, FHLB can refund it if they have other funds left over from other people that they haven't used, or you run out of your funds. So last year, the funds ran out in December.
Okay.
The year before that, they ran out in October.
Okay.
So they do run out. So once they're out, they're out.
Right.
But I think I checked this morning, we still had like $9 million, like whatever, like it was a crazy amount of money left on the grants.
Mm-hmm.
This is with the broad scope of essential workers.
Right.
It is being predicted that it'll be done maybe late summer if it continues on the way that it is, because people are starting to realize. I mean, I even looked at the guidelines this year and went, wait a minute, or does this person apply? Does this person apply? Does this person apply? And when I realized how many people it did apply to, it's such a broad scope. As long as the governor's executive orders are still intact, that these are essential workers, and it's going to be through the summer as far as we can tell.
Am I considered an essential worker? I'm just
a realtor, yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. So see, you guys, I learned something too. So we're all learning together on Tierra around Tidewater. Tierra can also use this grant program. So the thing
hold on, let me say one more thing too. There's things that aren't listed or may not be what I've said, but if you know someone, like I have somebody who he works in a manufacturing company, and to me, I would not think he'd be an essential worker, but they make a certain part for something specific that is essential. So therefore, he's getting me documentation from his human resource department that they are considered essential workers. And so I just have to turn that in with the paperwork. And, because he makes it. So it's not necessarily just, teachers, frontline people, the people that you think are essential workers.
Right.
But his job is considered an essential worker according to their human resource department. My daughter is a paralegal. She works for Zoom at home. They are essential workers.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because they go to court, because they do like all those things. So if you work at court, you're an essential worker. There's so many things that are underlying that are essential workers in the state of Virginia.
Right. That's right, especially in this Hampton Roads area.
Yes.
So it's just a big deal. It's just a big deal for us to be able to broadcast this and get it out to numerous people so that people can at least take a look and find out if they are considered an essential worker. I mean, it's definitely worth taking a deep dive with your human resources department and finding out, or giving Diane a call so that she can look at the guidelines and let you know if your career field even falls within those frameworks. And then another thing is that is really amazing is the fact that, to me, this just so much lowers the barrier to entry in this seller's market. It's just like, I cannot stress enough how many clients that I've come across that, historically, a lot of the clients that I work with, when we first organize and get together, they're not quite ready to buy. And so we will work together for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Once we're a team and you're working with me, we're in there until you reach your goal. So you figure that I've had a few clients this year, and we're only in February, where they did not realize the magnitude of the seller's market. So, we do a buyer consult before the market has increased to where it is now. And then, we turn around, and now their closing costs or their money they've saved towards down payment just is not quite enough. This grant is a game changer. You figure that that's kind of considerable percentage wise, $10,000, and even the 7,500, like you said, because it's a set rate. So you know exactly how much when you're looking out in your mortgage amount, how much additional money that you qualify for while you're searching. It will allow also your realtor to negotiate on your behalf in a stronger position, knowing that you have this additional money available. Because just like Diane said, you might not need to use the whole 7,500, but if you needed 4,200, and now you could apply the remaining balance to a buy down of your mortgage. I mean, all of those things are a win. With right now with interest rates being so low, buying down that mortgage would allow you, not mortgage, but buying down that interest rate would allow you to build equity quicker, because then you can employ your own plan of adding that additional principal payment per year. So, you know, there are a lot of different ways to make this program work for you. You know, I definitely want you guys to reach out. This is Diane Stein. She's Googleable too. At Southern Trust Mortgage. She's my preferred lender. We've been working together for years. She's outstanding and she stays on top of her business. Now, another thing is I wanted to talk with you about investors. So now, separate and apart from the FHLB, we've talked about the FHLB loan. If you missed that, you can catch the replay, you know, you guys, and I'm sure we'll touch it again before the end of the broadcast because we're coming to the end now. But I just wanted to hear from a mortgage lender standpoint, what are some of, outside of just having cash, just having straight cash, because we know always cash is king. What are some other strategies that you would suggest for those that are looking to invest?
And again, that's mainly clients right now are frustrated because a cash buyer beats them out. And usually that is the case, and they get frustrated about it. Another, and I'm not going to poo-poo specific, you know, lenders, but we are a local lender, and we will, we underwrite the file up front. So when, and that's a big deal. So when you are, and Tierra knows as a realtor, when she has a listing and she gets a pre-qualification letter, and I have this all the time now. More often than not, the seller's listing agent calls me and asks me details about their loan. Mm-hmm. Do you already have documents? Are they already gone through underwriting? How strong is this buyer? Like, they ask me all these questions. And when you have a local lender who you can reach your lender on the weekends, that the listing agent recognizes that as a local lender, they're more confident that they're going to close on time.
Yes.
The local lender is going to work harder for that because it's not a national company.
Right.
And there's plenty of local lenders out there. It's not just me. But the realtors know which ones that they're comfortable with. But They ask me all the time, we underwrite your file before you, now, if it's really quick and you put in an offer and I pre-qualified you in 15 minutes, I can't underwrite the file. But if you're a really serious investor, you get pre-qualified, get all the documents in, get everything. We put it through underwriting, we're ready to go. And you get, also we run it through our desktop underwriter. And so we have an automated underwriting, and then we have a person underwriter that looks at it and says, we have documents, income is verified, assets are verified. And when I tell that to a realtor who is comparing your offer, apples to apples, same exact offer, and they've got an offer with a big lender that they know is going to take at least 30 more days to close than I'm going to, your offer is stronger.
Right. Right. And see, and that's what I'm happy that you kind of brought that up, especially with the pre-qualification versus the pre-approval. I do know that that is another thing that just makes you heads and tails above a lot of the rest for me, is knowing that even though the buyer themselves, and that is you guys that are watching, you know, if you're an investor buyer or a standard home buyer, I understand and I empathize throughout the entire process of all of the frustration of gathering all those docs, you know, all those docs, organizing, submitting it through the
app.
It
is a lot. It is frustrating. It is a lot. And it seems like a lot.
Right. And it feels like it'll never end. However, what I have to tell buyers all the time, and what works, is the fact that once you go through all of that initial frustration of gathering up all your stuff, not only are you more organized, So you're more prepared in going through the process of purchasing your home. I don't care how many you purchase. Just the sheer idea and the act of having to gather together the things that matter and show that you are fiscally responsible, gainfully employed or self-employed, that your taxes and having all that stuff in one space, even if it's just doing this process, allows you to be more organized going through the entire process. But aside from that, it is the benefit of knowing that when you put the offer in on this home in this super fast market where houses are going on market at midnight, and by 3 o'clock the next day, they are under contract. And so in this market, when we're in such a strong seller's market, what you want to know is that you can actually make it to the finish line. And that's the difference in a pre-approval, is that a pre-approval, like Diane just mentioned, is that they put you through the desktop underwriter. So after they've collected all those documents, they're looking at to see if all of these pieces continue to move in the direction of which they're moving, you should reasonably close on your home. And that pre-approval also allows, in this seller's market, us to cut time if needed to beat another offer. So, standardly closings are 30 to 45, well, not 45 in a long time around here, but 30 days. You figure in this market with a strong pre-approval, if I get the right word from Diane, we can make your closing in 21 days because all your docs, and you've been so easy, especially once you get everything organized and you're able to turn things over quickly, it allows you, anything that gives you a competitive edge in our market right now is only a strength for you. And that's what you want, is a team of people that are working on your behalf. If you have a lender, and Diane, you don't have to say that, I'm going to say it. If you have a lender that you cannot reach after 5 on a Friday, that's not a good lender. And it's just no way, unless, of course, I've seen other companies where they've done the pre-approval and then you just can change that amount up to their pre-approved amount. So now, unless that's the type of program that they use, which I've only seen one company do that, they'll give you their lender will give you the pre-approved, max pre-approved amount. And then you have like a PDF that is customizable based on the property, up to their pre-approved amount. And you figure that even that's a little shaky because some people may not always be honest, So I know that in having a proper pre-approval and being able to reach a lender on the weekend to put in and submit that offer at where it's competitive and right for you is strong and very super important in this market.
Well, and also too is, and not just about being able to reach them on the weekends or after 5 and all that kind of stuff, but when you get a pre-approval letter and it says you're qualified for, up to $200,000. And then on the weekend, you go, and I've seen this all the time. Somebody goes in shopping and the house is in a flood zone. It's got a $230 HOA fee. Then it also has a condo fee that's added to that, which is $25. Mm-hmm. And you're at that max pre-approval amount. Well, now your debt to income is over the pre-approval. And when you get back, you've written a contract, you've done whatever, and now you're scrambling, trying to figure out financially how you're going to make this happen because your debt to income ratio is too high. And now you don't qualify for this loan.
Right.
So, or if you were originally looking in Virginia Beach where the tax rate is lower and now you've gone to Suffolk and the taxes are now, now the real estate taxes for that same $200,000 house are $50 more a month.
Right.
All those little factors come into play what your debt to income ratio is. And when you're over that amount, and so now you're in the position of trying to make things work that you may not be able to work. And you've also put that seller in a situation where, they're going to have to go take another offer. So that's why it's important to be able to work different numbers when, you're looking at something different that you hadn't looked at before, especially in a different area, different tax,
Right.
That's a conversation which Tierra knows. It's a conversation I have with her. I'm like, is it in a flood zone? Does it have HOA? Does it, I ask.
Right. See, but let me just say this, and I don't mean to cut across you, but that's exactly the point. It's like, that's how we work together. Meaning like working with you has prepared me to know these things when we're showing you.
Right.
So the most important thing, folks, is the whole point of this show is, hire a professional, okay? Hire somebody that's going to invest in the knowledge to know that if you are qualified at 200,000, that we should not be looking at a property that has a $290 a month condo fee at 200,000.
Right.
That the max that we can look at with that condo fee would be 175 or 180. Right? Because we want to make sure that you have the room. So you'd have to, adjust, and you want to make sure these are the type of questions that when you're hiring a realtor and you're choosing a lender, that you can ask these type of questions and know exactly what you'll be facing, because you don't want to be caught in a situation where, just like Diane said, you're out on the Saturday and your realtor unknowingly has allowed you to place an offer on a property that you can't afford because the taxes are $300 more yearly than they were when you were looking, because now you're in Ghent. So you went to Ghent from North Norfolk and the taxes that have went up considerably. Your agent is also supposed to be aware of that. That doesn't mean, every agent has to do this or to knock anyone else. It's just that the more that you know, the more able and better suited you are to assist your client in making the right decision, because not just the market, but in any negotiation, our job is to work on your behalf. So that means that we need to know as much as possible to represent your interests to the best of our ability and for you and your family's goals. So that's the thing. I mean, I definitely appreciate all your knowledge, Diane.
Thank you. Thanks
I
for having
think,
me.
yeah, no problem. I think that we told the people the most important things, which are that as an investor, you need to make sure you get your pre-approvals and be prepared before you're out looking for properties, especially if you're not using cash. You want to be pre-approved. And then the other thing is, and the most important thing of our whole meeting tonight, was this 2021 Affordable Housing Program and Home Ownership Set Aside Program. It is an amazing program for both first-time home buyers and essential workers. And like Diane said, in Virginia currently, that essential worker list is very broad and is based on what your human resources department and or your business is already designated as it pertains to enduring COVID, right?
Yes. And that also, and also so remember, it's also military, retired military. And I didn't say this earlier, surviving spouses as well.
Okay.
You are
Okay.
a surviving spouse of somebody who was in the military who passed. You're a surviving spouse and you get survival spousal benefits. You also qualify it for the, it's a community partners and essential workers grant program. So they, yes.
Right. And see, and when we were initially working with this program, we were very limited. And it's like almost like the pandemic, as horrible, as it's been for so many families. For some people, this provides an opportunity that's really lowered that barrier to entry. And I just don't want you guys to miss this opportunity. So in signing off tonight, I appreciate and thank you guys wherever you're watching.
Can I say one more thing real fast?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
yes, please.
So a lot of people are using to pull out their 401k because they don't have to pay penalties on it and all that kind of stuff right now during COVID. So this grant also, so if you have that 401k, there's no asset ceiling you have. So if you've got $15,000 in a 401k, you don't have to use it. You don't have to take out those investments when you have this, when you can use it. So that's where I also say is I'd rather people keep all their stuff in their retirement.
Absolutely.
Not do that and be able to use this, because there is no asset limit. You can have whatever you have, so long as you qualify.
That's a game changer.
Yeah, it is.
A game changer. And
I mean, why not get free money and keep your own that you've worked hard for?
Right. And on top of that is that even without penalties, we have to keep in mind the long-term, long-range goal, which is if you're depleting your 401k.
This is the whole point we're talking to.
Right. You're chipping away at that in your 40s, your 30s, you're even in your late 20s. Because my first 401k, I got rid of early. And it took me a while to reestablish and even understand the magnitude of retirement and retirement planning. So that's another episode, you guys.
It's a whole nother thing.
But But Diane, again, thank you so much. I mean, they got the basics. If they have any questions, they're going to reach out to you. Go ahead and give them your business line and then where to follow you on social media. I know, wait a minute, everybody. Diane does not do a whole bunch of social media. She doesn't. She doesn't. She did this as a complete favor to me. Now she's on social media.
I am, yes.
I'm just saying that you can kind of reach her that way or call her because she's going to give you her number. But then again, it'll be in the description boxes, you guys. I'm pointing down because hopefully when you see this on YouTube or something, it'll be there. So,
I'm Diane Stein, Southern Trust Mortgage. This is the FHLB Community Heroes and First Time Homebuyers Grant. My phone number is 757-450-2955. That is my cell phone number. Again, that's 757-450-2955. And I am on Facebook. I am on Instagram. Just put in Diane Stein. I pop right up. But don't hope for a whole bunch. Like my mortgage page just say stuff like this on it, but I'm not, I just do what Tierra asked me to do.
Yeah, but
be social.
Right. And that's the thing. The big thing is that the important, your socials may not say it, but you can show it in real life because you have the real knowledge. And everybody, I know you see how Diane looks. Don't call her about anything other than mortgages. Okay. This is not for drinks. Okay. You call Diane if you would like to get a mortgage. Okay. Okay. So with all that being said, thank you so much, my sweet friend. I appreciate you joining us tonight with Tierra Around Tidewater Wealth Building Series, Home Ownership and Reaching Your Goals through the FHLB Community Partners Grant. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a good night.
Call me.